Okay, so metal.
Metal.
The show's about metal.
What is metal? We're going to spread the hidden value in music.
We're going to proselytize. We're going to get the word out there.
We are.
That's important.
Ooh, all right. Welcome, everybody, to episode 15 of the Great Metal Podcast. This is number 3 in our Eerie Series. That was the ooh, just in case nobody picked up on that.
Phenomenal.
Creepy.
You could be a real ghost.
You know what? I've been practicing in my time off.
You might just be a real ghost.
Yeah. We'll see if somebody can put their hand through me. They'll only try once.
Oh,
boy. Yeah.
No, we're not going to do that.
No.
We don't want anyone actually dying on this show.
No, we want to bring life and metal. That's what we want to do.
So creepy, huh? That's a good Eerie Series. Creepy. What do we got going today?
Well, we thought we would talk a little bit about probably the most visual aspect of creepy, bands that like to dress up.
Oh, yeah?
Yeah.
Creepy costumes
this is
metal.
It's so smart too, man. It like adds a whole nother layer to your brand. And yeah, it's just such a smart thing to do. Alice Cooper, Marilyn Manson, these guys, they get extra points, extra media, just for dressing up.
Well, so and that we're going to dive in
today with my lock.
Yeah.
Only Satan holds the key to this. He's the only one that can get in. So
now, is that like a
code is
chastity,
666.
like a chastity lock?
Also note that Shred is showing something here. We forgot to introduce ourselves, but we are doing something a little different. We're going to start live streaming the podcast. So if you're listening to the audio only, Sundays at 5 p.m. On
Eastern.
We're going to have it up on Eastern time. We're going to have it up on YouTube. We're on Twitch right now. So there's different ways to get it. And of course, it'll still be available here in audio on the podcast outlets. So it's a little something new. If you want to see, we're going to have a visual element to it. And we'll probably upload some past episodes to our YouTube channel too. So check
Joe
that
Rogan,
out.
We're coming for you, Joe Rogan. Look
He doesn't
out.
even know. Yeah. And this is just Pete. We got
The Metal Evangelist, Luke.
And of course, we got Shred here.
That's right.
That's
right.
I
So
guess, people can't tell if they're just listening, but if they're
Right.
watching, of course, you know exactly what's going on.
right, which is
Oh,
why
yeah.
I was bringing us all up to speed on our new format option for folks.
that's right. Although, I
Yeah.
mean, we've got thousands of downloads now. I feel like even people listening to us, they know us by heart.
And we just picked up a viewer here on Twitch. So welcome to the show.
Welcome to the show. Yeah, we're going to have a good time today.
Hit us up. What are we starting with?
Well, okay. Well, so I'm going to tease for a second. I'm going to tease for 1 second. I have a feeling based upon what Shred just said about, the costumes and the corpse paint and all this kind of stuff, that me and him might come to fisticuffs, virtual fisticuffs later.
Uh-oh.
But maybe not.
Oh, shit.
I guess you got to stick around until we get there. So
Fight.
before we fight, let's talk about some news items.
News is crazy today. The news is just absolutely crazy.
It's really crazy. So the first news item really just kind of highlights something that we've talked about several times on this podcast about the controversial nature of metal, as well as the depth of lyrical content, as well as the musical content.
That's true. Yeah, it's a good example of that.
Yeah. So who watching or listening has heard this new 5 Finger Death Punch song called "This Is the Life" or "This Is Life"?
Yeah. What was it called? Something like that.
I think it's called "This Is the Life."
Yeah.
Living the dream. It's called Living the Dream.
Living the dream, boy. Okay. Well,
Close enough.
shoot. Yeah. I sorry, I didn't have it up in front of me, but
They're
yeah,
referencing the American dream. It's kind of a play on that. Yeah.
exactly. And it's obviously a very a lot of symbolism. It's a very visual video.
Yeah, you're probably not going to get lyrics on this depth from T Swift or from Beyonce. You know, probably not.
No, and of course, right. What Scott is saying is that it's referencing the American dream, but it's talking about tyranny, right? How those in power can take away your rights and basically become tyrants, and we become slaves. And it's very controversial right now because in the lockdown you got a lot of stuff going on, and so people have been calling him out on this, like, oh, are you anti-mask? Are you pro-mask? What's going on?
Well, it sounds like anti-mask to me, but I wonder how this is doing on YouTube. We should check this out, actually.
Yeah.
Section is just dumpster fire craziness.
Well, and I think it's probably doing very well. Controversial things tend to get a lot of likes and views.
It's got 736K views in 2 days.
Yeah, so that's pretty good. I don't know what their other videos get, but my guess would be that's pretty good for 2 days, even for them.
Yeah, and I mean, it's worth checking out the video because you get Captain America doing some cocaine, and that's just worth it. A kind of overweight guy in a Captain America suit doing cocaine. I think we all wanted to see that.
Captain America. So he's got like the dad bod.
Yeah, the dad bod, cocaine-driven Captain America. No, but it is. I think this
what I do every Sunday. By the way, I just eat a lot and do cocaine and then puke all over the place.
He actually reminds me a little bit in that what was that metal cartoon, Metalocalypse?
Oh yeah,
he was like, I do cocaine,
Dr. Roxo,
the rock and roll clown. I do cocaine.
Yeah. So I mean, and these guys apparently, I read an interview with the, I don't know if it was the drummer or the guitarist, and he said that he grew up. I'm not 100% sure where it was. I don't know if it was in Cuba or whatever, but he grew up under a tyrannical, what he called a tyrannical system, and so he's got a lot to say about it. I mean, agree or disagree. This is one of the things I love about metal. Like, I always go back to Dream Theater and stem cell research, in the song The Great Debate. Like, it's so relevant, timely, intelligent, concepts. It's just not pop simple.
It's such a crazy thing because, artists used to be able to touch these kind of topics, without as much blowback as now. Because now we see everything as being directly relevant to our lives, right? So it's like, whether you're pro or anti-mask that's like a big deal to people,
Right.
That's the new angle I've seen on a lot of these things. Is like people are like, you get the idea of like, well, we can still be friends, and people are like, well, we can still be friends if we disagree about like how much the government should spend on roads, but this stuff is like real, so we can't be friends if we disagree about this. It's like, well, exactly. I don't know. That seems like a non-starter. A good way to not have influence is just by saying, I'm not going to hang out with you or talk to you anymore.
Yeah. Social media has really collided our personal and professional lives. And this is like the first time this has happened really in like the past 5 years. So now we know what the people think who work with us, and we didn't used to know that. And
that's a good point.
That's just blowing everything up.
Yeah. So I recommend everybody go check out the video, Five Finger Death Punch, Living the Dream, and let us know what you think. Let us know if you're a anti-masker, pro-masker. We're probably not gonna dive too deep into that, but we want to know where you're at. We care about you guys. We do
care about our fans.
And by the way, we care about you so much that we want you to sell your soul to us.
Yeah.
So do that.
Everyone better be a Halloween masker, because Halloween's a fun time to wear a mask.
That's true. That is true. Yeah.
All right. What's next?
Next, there's this other crazy thing. Luke, what's going on with Pirate Bay? This is crazy.
Well, I imagine most people listening to us know what the Pirate Bay is. It was a very, very popular piracy streaming site. It was a file sharing. It was a BitTorrent site, site, and they got shut down about 3 or 4 years ago.
So they're from Sweden. That's where the company started.
Sweden
I
or
think that's what it
Denmark?
says.
Is that what it said? Sweden in the article?
Yeah, I
Yeah.
just didn't know that before, but okay. So
It was hosted somewhere over there, Scandinavia area.
yeah,
And so they got shut down a few years ago. They were one of the organizations or whatever that got hit legally. A lot of them were able to avoid it on technicalities, but Pirate Bay was not. So anyway, the domain just sold for $35,000. I don't know who wants to buy the domain. Oh, it's a cool domain name, thepiratebay.com. It's cool name. Anyway, sold for $35,000. But interestingly,
that's an expensive domain.
Yeah,
that's an expensive domain. But Shred, obviously being much more connected to this kind of stuff and knowing how it all works, the question, I guess, is, with it, because the article mentioned that piracy is actually trending down and down and down. It has for the last couple of years, and I think that's probably because the music industry in general, instead of trying to fight streaming like they've done for the last 20 years, maybe they've adopted to this new technology.
I just don't see that happening. First of all, that's got to be wrong. There's no way that piracy is going down overall. I think maybe that has something to do with the way that we're measuring it.
Yeah, I was going to say, it's got to be down, though, Scott, from the standpoint of you can listen to so much for free through like legal methods, right? Like people don't want to figure out a BitTorrent if they can just hop on Spotify and listen to it with a couple ads, right? Or listen to it on YouTube with ads, or pay $10. Part of the thing that always got me was some of the stuff was hard to get prior. And so you would BitTorrent, you'd get it illegally because it was hard to get. Like they didn't make the album anymore, or it was an overseas album. You couldn't get it,
Yeah, the reality is people are going to do what is most expedient and convenient for them. No one's thinking, I mean, there are some people that do this, but the vast majority of people aren't going to avoid pirating something because it's the right thing to do. People don't care about that.
Right.
They're just going to do whatever, is easiest to get what they want. So we have to figure out a way to, compensate artists for their work, but still, make it good for the consumer. There's got to be, and this is something new that we have to figure out. It's not going to be, the answer's not in the old way and figuring out how to get back to, 1980 copyright laws. No. The way forward is because a lot of these big bands like AC/DC that are just super anal about copyright stuff, they're just destroying their legacy. New kids aren't getting exposed to them because kids aren't, they don't care about piracy laws. They're just going to listen to whatever they, it's easiest to get their hands on, what they think sounds good. So I don't have the answer here, but it's got to be something besides go back to, the old way that we did things. That's not going to work. Well, the world has moved on,
Is some of it, with streaming services and all this kind of stuff, and the reason why bands or artists can't make money is because the companies that own the rights are siphoning all of the profits. I mean, if like the share, the percentage share is higher, would that?
Yeah, and that's what they're starting to do. So if you get hit with a copyright claim on YouTube, what they do is they just send the revenue from the watch time to the artist, which that makes perfect sense, or you split it. I don't have a problem with that. In fact, so it's like that benefits the artist big time because that's a piece of content that wouldn't have been made without them. And now it's making you money. What are you complaining about?
Yeah, makes a ton of sense. Like rather than like banning the video, taking it down, it's like let it play. If you know who owns it, send them the money. Or like you said, maybe the other thing is a lot of YouTubers are adding value to it, right? Like it's not just posting the music. So it's like if there's an opportunity to like share revenue or it's benefiting both parties.
That's what it is. Yeah, that's it right there. So now it's like, you got to offer extra value. Like Pete said, you got to offer, merchandise or, have a Patreon where you have perks or whatever. We have to get away from this model where we're just making money from, the music recording, the audio aspect of things, which actually ties in great to the rest of the episode today too, which is about visuals.
Let's hit it up.
Oh, wow. Shred bringing it home with the.
I got the segue for you on that one, Luke.
Yeah. Yes. Yeah. Shred talks about this as transition material in music.
Yeah.
Wow. He just nailed it in
I
podcasting.
modulated very skillfully with a secondary dominant right into
I love it. We're always so amazed at our own transitions, though we kind of lose the effect of the transition.
Yeah. Yeah.
But
So
let's see, we're going
bands
into
are-
like the what's next, Luke?
Well, bands are trying to make money. And so how do they do that? Well, they've got to market themselves, right?
Yeah.
One
You're
way,
a podcast.
one way that bands market themselves to try to be individual or unique or something is with costumes and visual get-ups and face paint and this kind of thing. So, in the spirit of Halloween, which is coming up here in another week or so, we figured that's what we talk about.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, there's a lot of bands that have done this, but who was the first
Well, so
to use the visual component in metal, at least?
yeah, definitely. If you get on the forums, everybody says Kiss was the first.
Is that right?
Now, and they're not really heavy
Boom,
metal.
there they are. That's
There
what
they
I'm
are.
talking about.
But they started wearing the face paint back in the early 70s, I guess.
And
or
they
the mid-70s.
copyrighted it in the late 70s. I guess.
Did they really?
Like 78, I think it was. They copyrighted the image and the look that they have.
Wow.
Which is super smart. And see, that's how they made so much money. Of course, they've got like Kiss condoms, Kiss anything you can think of. They got their name on it.
Well, so and this
and maybe sometimes it's face paint, sometimes it's natural features like that tongue.
Oh, yeah,
that tongue.
That tongue, man. That is
His
creepy.
tongue, bro.
Gene
Yeah, how
Simmons.
long is that thing? At least half a foot.
I don't know.
Yeah.
But he should copyright that.
Yeah, no, he doesn't have to worry about anybody getting a tongue that long
Yeah.
to compete with him.
Well, Gene is he's actually a brilliant businessman too. He really knows his shit.
Yeah. Well, and this is where, okay, point of contention number one that Shred and I may or may not have.
Uh-huh.
I feel because I agree with you 100% with what you said. I mean, it's brilliant marketing. I would make the claim, I'm going to submit it to the court of public opinion.
And if you're listening, you can rein in that court, comment in on it.
Feel free to judge me. I do not have a problem being judged. I
Luke's
would submit
self-esteem cannot be altered, so let him have it.
That's right. So I would submit that Kiss could not have become famous by their music alone because it wasn't that good. And so what they needed was a gimmick, right? They needed a gimmick. And so what is their gimmick? Like nobody else is doing this. So they're like, well, let's do a visual. It's like a logo for a company or something. Let's do a visual that everybody remembers us by. And, at the time it took off. I mean, people, for some reason, it resonated with them.
Yeah.
Right?
How does the listeners feel about that? Email us, Great Metal Podcast. Look at this, greatmetalpodcast@gmail.com.
Bam.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. So I'm just throwing this. That's a contentious statement. So before we comment, if anyone has feedback, please send it to us or DM us on Instagram. That's cool too.
And remember, guys.
Yeah, go ahead, Luke.
Well, I was just gonna say, remember, like when we talk about the beginnings of metal, to me, it's like where we are today and have been for the last 25, 30 years. It's like the difference between a baby and an adult, right? A baby just can't do much. It cries. Now it does like to suck on boobies. So it's got that going for it.
Well, and that's got that going for it with a lot of adults too.
Well, I guess that's true. Yeah, that's true. So, but like a baby can't do much. It just sits there and moans and cries and whatever. And you have to take care of it. It's not taking care of you. As you grow, as you mature, as you get better at things, skills, there's just so much more depth and complexity there. So all I'm saying is like, the origins of metal and rock and roll to me are very anemic. They just don't have that same power that metal has today. That's all I'm saying.
Yeah, and I would say to an extent, the production value is important because no matter how good your idea is for a song. Let's say you've written the most incredible song that's ever been written, like better than Bill and Ted. Like
Impossible.
if you don't plug into an amplifier and you just record it, on your smartphone, and you just hear like the string noise from an unplugged in electric guitar, yeah, people just aren't really going to see the brilliance in it, even if it's brilliant. It's like if Bach listened to it, he'd be like, damn, I couldn't have even done that. Like, so the production value, which is kind of what you're talking about, Luke, in the 1970s, Pro Tools didn't exist. Logic Pro didn't exist. These tools that we use now to really get these great results in production value. So a lot of it, I think that's what you're talking about mainly. But the separate thing to talk about is the actual musical integrity of the idea and the composition itself. So,
Well,
like I said,
unfortunately,
if you played like the Erotomania solo from John Petrucci in Dream Theater without plugging in, and you just record it on your smartphone, people, it's just not going to be as good. Not going to be as good.
Well, the Erotomania solo would still be pretty impressive, but
you won't be able to hear it.
Right. But I think part of what I'm talking about, maybe a large part, is the compositional structure. Just simply because a lot of when I listen to a lot, and this again goes back to like AC/DC and bands like that, when you're playing 3 chords your entire career, I'm telling you, it's just not as good as.
Well, they better be 3 good chords.
Well, there aren't 3 that good out there. That's all I'm saying. I'm going back to like the objective complexity of music, not the subject. Yeah. If you like Kiss, awesome, man. I can't actually think of any Kiss songs right now. There's the Saturday
Detroit
Night
Rock
one.
City.
Yeah, Detroit Rock City, this kind of stuff.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, to me, it's repetitive and it's so simple. And I don't know. I don't enjoy that. If you do, that's awesome. Listen to it all the time. You can listen to it while we're driving in the car. I don't care. Listen to it.
That's another aspect of this. Not everybody thinks the way that you do or that I do. This starts to get like tough because basically what it comes down to is people with big brains like to listen to big brain music, and it's not that that sounds very condescending. It's not that it's a better thing. It's just that some people are more wired for complex stuff and other people are not.
Oh,
and that's also an aspect to it.
I like some pretty not complicated shit too.
I was gonna say there's a time. That's what I was gonna say. There's a time and place for it. Like a lot. I've been listening to like lo-fi a lot on like YouTube, which is just like, I don't know. It's mostly just music going on, like kind of repetitive little jingles, simple, great for like while I'm working, and it can just kind of go in the background. That kind of stuff is, to me, it's nice to listen to it as filling the space sort of thing for working.
Right.
Now, but then there's also times when it's like, yeah, you just want to relax and you want the comfort of stuff that you're used to.
That's a great point.
And that doesn't distract you from hanging out with people. Whereas like if I'm listening to it, if I listen to like Devin Townsend, even though I've listened to it a million times, like all of a sudden I'm not talking to the people around me anymore. I'm just listening to Devin Townsend because it's just too good.
Yeah.
And
we had that problem with Arion's new one, Transitus, the other day. We were trying to listen to it while working out, and we kept working out.
Yeah.
We'd stop working out to listen to the the album play. Yeah,
no, that's another great point. The reality of this is it's just a complex thing. The whole music discussion that we keep getting entangled in here with objectivity and subjectivity. But there's a lot of cool bands on this list you have here in terms of like the most or best dressed up bands. They got like 21 in this article here.
Yeah, it's 21 bands that are always ready for Halloween.
I like that title.
Well, and so so transitioning from what we were just talking about, the reason why that's relevant is because, so these bands all certainly are using costumes and face paint as some kind of a way of expressing themselves. Maybe it's a marketing thing in order to like try to make themselves more, marketable to the industry. I don't think so.
Let's talk about the great showman Alice Cooper. I
Okay.
mean, I feel like his whole brand, is built around his visual. I mean, it's an iconic thing, right? So you can say
that is true.
Sometimes, your marketing goes off different angles. Maybe it's a name that really resonates, or you have like a logo that really resonates. And a lot of musicians, like, they are their imagery, right? So they're using themselves. Like Alice Cooper does a great job of using himself as the canvas, right? To amplify the brand imagery.
That's true. And if you guys are going to be able to get me on this one, it's going to be with a guy like Alice Cooper.
Yeah.
Well,
because
you know what it is? You know what it is, Luke? It's this just hit me right now. And Pete talking about Alice Cooper here and the iconic imagery. What music is it's a language, right? It's a form of communication. But the thing is, it's 1/3 of the way you can communicate. It's just audio, but there's also video or images, and of course, the written word, right? So there's 3 ways to communicate to people. And so if you are a band that just does the audio, then no matter how great that is, you're only connecting with them on sort of 1/3 of what's possible, in terms of the way that human beings use language and images and words and whatever. Images and words. There you go. It's a Dream Theater record. They knew what was going on.
They did.
I just wanted to say there maybe is more than 3 ways too. There's touch. You got to be careful with that one. However, I would say, because we mentioned this on a prior episode, like an advantage of going to a live show is like you can feel the music.
True.
And like the bass and things like, and that like gives you like shivers up and down the spine, that listening to the same song just at home on your iPhone speaker, your computer speakers just doesn't give you. So I think there is a way there, you can engage all those senses.
Well,
So,
that's
the main point is that the more of those senses you recruit, the more you're going to be able to communicate with someone.
And the more memorable you are. I was listening to, or I've read a lot about memory, and I'm reading another book on memory and how to like train your memory and build your memory. And a big part of it is making associative links, right, to things. So, and the more fronts, like, so if you want to get really good at it, you want to be able to engage your imagination, not just in imagining this beer, but in thinking, what does it smell like? And what does it sound like when I'm glugging it down? And what does it taste like? So if you can link something in your mind, the more detail you give to that imagery, the better hold it has in your memory. And so
is that Jim Quick you're checking out? Is that his name?
No,
yeah,
he's no, it's
somebody else.
Yeah, he's an 8-time world memory champ. I could pull him up real quick.
How far into pie can he go?
No, that's seriously a competition.
No, I know it is.
Well, he was going to beat the record, which I think was like 2,100 digits or something.
Okay.
And I haven't gotten into the book far enough to see if he got there. But there was another one called Moonwalking with Einstein that I read. And there's one called, and I've just read a bunch of articles on the internet, but it's really interesting. The point being that, the more you can engage different senses, the more memorable you are.
Okay.
Yeah, that's the main point. Can
I respond?
Yes.
Okay, here we go. I don't disagree with anything you guys are saying. However, it's completely beyond. Here's what I see happening. If I take a shit on your front step or doorway, wherever you live, I don't know.
Yeah.
And then I put a bunch of flowers on it. And then I shape it into a cake, it's
Very
still a piece of
thoughtful, Luke.
shit. You know what I mean? So it's like the idea is not. I 100% agree. Music. These guys should be engaging as many senses as possible. But what I'm saying is, so I feel like some of these guys are focusing on things that have nothing to do with the music to try to become famous or to try to quote unquote make it. And it's like, I don't listen to music to get my jollies by looking at a certain image. I want the music to do that.
Well, yeah.
Now, if you can enhance it and become more popular or something in, by adding these other elements, I think that's great.
Can't replace the music is what you're saying.
That's what I'm saying. So, do you have that quote from Aaron handy?
Yeah.
So Aaron, Anthony Lucas, and he just did this interview like yesterday or the day before. And he said this in talking about his new album Transitus, because it's very different than what he's done before. And he said, I don't want to become mainstream with songs that are too catchy and where I can't even recognize my own style anymore. So I had to find a really good balance between what I like myself and what I think people will like. That is so key. This idea that, and when people talk about selling out, it's this idea of I'm going to do all of the other stuff, the makeup on the pig. I'm going to do all of the other stuff to try to make it and become mainstream and make all the money and get famous. Aaron's like, no, to me, it's about the music, right? He's like, I don't want all of that stuff if it's at the expense of me and my style.
Yeah, that's a good point too, Luke. You can take it too far and get too wrapped up in the shallow aspects of art, like just the first image that you see on an album cover or something like that to draw people in, and then didn't spend much time actually cultivating the musical ideas. That's definitely a thing. But I think you can balance that out, and make it, like you said, something that adds to the music instead of takes away from it. Then like a very high quality piece of music with accompanying high quality imagery is going to do better than just one out of the two, for instance.
Yeah. So I mean, I guess like Shred, like would you consider somebody like Marilyn Manson having done that? Like his imagery is very, very well, I think, supportive of his style of music.
I think his imagery is definitely beyond his music, and he's really developed that more than the actual music. And that's fine. Like some people are more interested in sort of the presentation of what you do than the actual sonic aspects.
Well, now here's a way it can feed the other way. So Dominic O'Brien was the guy, and he's got a few different books, the memory guy I was talking about. But the reason I come back to this that's interesting is he said you doing a lot of these associative links really stretches your creative mind and imagination. And the more you practice that, the better it gets. So if you're expressing creativity in multiple mediums, so for instance, your stage presence, your costumes, the visual aspect of the band, that actually makes you more creative. It'll make you more creative in your music side too. It'll make your brain, because your brain associates links between things more freely if you practice associating links. Right. So by stretching creativity, it creates more creativity. And it's likely that would flow between things you're working on. For instance, last week we talked about an individual who had emailed us for our contest, which we're going to talk a little bit about, send us something creative. And he sent us a visual and a song. And he mailed back because he listened and said he made the visual and he made the song himself. When you explore across the mediums, it opens your creativity up. I think working in a visual medium makes you think very probably different about sound.
That is true. And like
all this lateral. Yeah, go ahead, Luke.
Oh, I was just gonna say in the film industry, they say a good director has to be a good editor.
Yeah.
Right. Because if you're a good editor while you're filming, while you're telling, painting the picture, you know what is going to happen on the back end. So you know what to do on the front end. So it's like, right.
That's super
Yeah,
helpful.
you
I just
understand the
did
whole
that.
process. Yeah. Yeah, I call this lateral thinking, and like Pete says, is super good for your creativity. Like I'll intentionally practice this on Instagram. You know, if you ever seen my name that band based on the image below, that's exactly what I'm doing. So I'll take like Alice in Chains, the band, the grunge band, right? And then I'll put Alice in Wonderland up there. And then I'll put, some chains. And so that's forcing you to associate, things in a sort of
That's
lateral
it.
way. You're sort of pulling on different things, and that really does stretch your brain out.
I
You
actually
can feel it.
love when you do that, Shred. I want you to make harder and harder ones. You've done like 3 or 4 that I could not get.
Oh,
And
really?
I had to I hated myself for doing it, but I had to look in the freaking comments and see, and like everybody else gets it.
Which one
And I was
could you get? Hopefully you got Dream Theater.
Oh yeah, I got Dream Theater. I'd have to go back and look, but there was like 2 that I was like, son of a bitch.
Well,
I
and
get
It's hard. It's really harder than you think to make it like reasonably, doable, but also a little bit difficult. Like that's really challenging.
Well, I've been waiting for you to do one with a set of guns and a set of roses.
I think I did already do. I think I did Guns N' Roses.
I didn't see that one. I was like, that'd be too easy because you're literally like, it is what it is.
Yeah, but I mean, a lot of kids didn't grow up in the '80s, and they don't know who Guns N' Roses are that much, and so it depends on your experience how well you make associations with certain things in culture, right?
There were those
Yeah.
there was those billboards doing that in California. I used to drive by, and there was one that was like a bunch of eyeballs floating around with like a net catching them, and then like the idea was and then it was like call to get a billboard. Yeah, like you're catching eyeballs, right? With the billboard. It was kind of I think what they wanted you to think. And then it was like, call us for this billboard space.
Yeah.
But it was clever. It was a clever way to do just what you're talking about.
Yeah.
So do we want to like talk about maybe a couple of these bands here, like Guar? I mean, these guys are one of the original like full costume bands.
But is there
Look at these guys?
Is there like a legend that goes along with them? Like
is there a story?
I haven't really studied them that much, but it seems like they're all from like an alternate universe, right? They're aliens, aren't they supposed to be some kind of alien?
I think so. It's been a long time.
Somebody look up the story on this. This is craziness.
Yeah, these guys have been around a long time. I mean, they formed back in like the 80s, maybe even the early 80s.
Really?
And audience interaction, is big with Gore.
Very big. Yeah. So these guys have always been underground. Yeah. 1984.
Okay.
Is when these guys formed.
1980 Gore.
Oh, nice. Nice.
Yeah.
So does it say what their costumes are all about? Or maybe they change over time. I don't know.
That front guy is real iconic looking. And that we talked that news story where the kid made a costume for the one Gore guy. He has they have like names and stuff. That's why I think there's like there's characters.
Yeah, they definitely each have names. Like the one guy's name is Death Piggy. That's the the bass or something.
Audience with fluids.
That's a big part of it. Yeah,
or maybe that's a different band.
From water and powdered food coloring.
Yeah, I don't know. I remember seeing these guys back in like the early 90s.
Live? You went to a show?
No. But I remember seeing like I don't know if it was on like MTV or something. And I was like, oh, these guys are crazy. So yeah, it very well may be that there's some mythology behind their costumes and what they do. It's definitely an interesting look, right? Like I actually would go to one of their shows. I think it'd be fun.
Yeah.
Because this is so over the top. This isn't just face paint. This is like full costume, right?
Yeah. Although I'd probably sit in the back because I don't like getting sprayed with fluids. quote unquote.
Yeah, don't get sprayed with
Most
any
of
kind
them are
fluid.
coming out of things like penises and that too.
Yeah.
So
Oh yeah.
Actually, I'd probably rather get sprayed with guar fluids than the dude's beer behind me.
yeah,
It's like sticky, and who knows, what he's got.
that's true.
Oh,
That's true.
gosh.
Ideally, I don't keep fluids on me at all, at a show. That's number one.
That's
for
number
me.
one.
The whole
Yeah.
concert experience is just kind of rough from that regard. We've talked about this before.
Yeah, what episode was that? 12, maybe episode or 11?
Yeah, it was
A few
Which
back
one?
there.
live.
If you're playing the show and you're backstage, I do enjoy that aspect. I like going to the side of the stage and watching, the bands perform. You get a whole nother angle on things. But then you can go back to the green room when you get tired and just chill out and stop taking fluids in the face.
Yeah. So that was 4 episodes back. Best live metal bands. That you can go anywhere you get podcasts, you can go listen to that. And we talk about the live show experience, which has positives and negatives.
So Ghost is also on here.
Yeah.
Sweden's Ghost. I like these guys. I think they've got some great tracks, and they seem relatively sincere. I don't know how satanic they are, but I know they like to present themselves like that.
Yeah.
I mean,
that's really their thing. Like, and a lot of their music is about that too.
Yeah.
And I'm not sure how like pro Satan they are as much as they're like anti-Christian. I think they even call themselves like anti-clergy.
That's tough.
Because like
all to be anti things. That's tough.
Yeah, it is tough. Come on. Give the program. But no, these guys like their music is actually pretty good. It's a little tamer. Like they're more of like that gothic type of metal, but not really like doom goth, like just kind of like the hymn, HIMM, or it's just HIM.
Yeah. Right.
Yeah,
right.
it's like that. It's like kind of that slower, rock type stuff, but
it's pretty accessible stuff for the most part. I'm not real familiar with the band, but a song like Dance Macabre or Square Hammer, I mean, that could easily be on the radio. It's not.
Well, they actually, Ghost has a song I just heard on the radio like a month ago on our local rock station.
Wow.
Yeah. So no, I mean they're definitely much more accessible.
Although, like, if you think about it, just being on the radio is really not that big of a deal anymore, right? It's like, who listens to the radio? More people are listening to Spotify, I'm sure, than their local radio station.
Yeah, that's probably true.
So you got Ghost, Buckethead. I get so many questions about Buckethead. So this is for my Instagram viewers. Nobody's ever seen Buckethead's real face, as far as I know.
I was going to ask you, like, has he ever taken it off?
There's a couple of supposed pictures of him without his bucket on, but nobody knows.
Well, yeah, you can't prove that's him, right?
How would you?
Yeah, that's good. Unless there's a video of him taking the bucket off his head, like you can't prove it.
Yeah, exactly.
Is there a story as to why it's a KFC bucket?
There is a story actually, but I can't remember what it is. It was very bizarre and twisted. Buckethead himself is an extremely strange character. Like he's super averse to people. Like he just can't handle social interaction. He's terrified of girls. And the guy's like, whatever he is, 55 now. But he just never figured out people. But then he did in this other weird sort of way because, he's had this great career playing guitar. He used to play with Guns N' Roses. But I almost get the sense like even backstage, he just kept his his KFC bucket on.
Yeah. Hey, I mean, he probably just liked fried chicken and then was like, what can I do with this bucket? And he's like, I get so much fried chicken, I could fit my head in this bucket. So much getting it by the head load bucket. Or maybe he was thinking like, maybe he murdered someone by chopping off their head, and then he was trying to get rid of it, and he put it in a bucket. He's like, "Oh, a head fits. This might be a good way. Now I want to keep my face hidden because I've murdered somebody." So then,
Interesting theories, Pete.
these are good theories. These are how you make associations, mental associations you remember.
Association work. But Bucket is he loves Halloween music too, and actually has a great version of John Carpenter's Halloween theme. He plays a fun version of that. But I haven't seen him doing much stuff recently. I think he's had some health problems or something. But
probably, issues with his lungs, having his head in a bucket all the time.
Who else do we got on this list?
Well, so there's obviously, Kiss and those guys are on there, but and then some bands I've never heard of, like Cult of Fire. They're a Czech Republic metal band. Never heard of them, but I'll have to check them out.
Cradle of Filth.
We've got Cradle of Filth.
They're a great band. I've heard. I love the symphonic aspects.
Yeah, Rob Zombie, obviously. Hey, our featured band of the day is on here.
Oh, and that is, you want to reveal?
Sure. It's Turasas. Turasas is a folk metal band from Finland. And they're always dressed. What's that?
You guys are tough.
Yeah, they're always covered in blood. And like face paint. I'm assuming it's some kind of like war paint.
Looks post-apocalyptic kind of too, the whole vibe of the imagery here.
Yeah, well, it's all medieval. It's medieval metal, right? So maybe it is like neo-apocalyptic, neo-post-apocalyptic.
Binoculars the main guy has. Almost looks like binoculars.
It reminded me of that, like boy, I mean, with driving a car, that
steering wheel.
No, that driving the car, like they like fight each other in the desert. That movie.
Talking about Mad Max.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
That's what they look like.
Got a chick in there too. What does she do? She sing? Is it like a Beauty and the Beast situation?
No. The dude sings. She might play the violin. Although I think the dude plays the violin too. These guys, and we can talk more about them at the very end. But these guys, really, really good metal.
Let's talk about them right now. We're on them.
We're talking about
featured band.
So what they do, like what they're kind of like known for, is they do a lot of like, instead of guitar solos, they'll literally do violin solos. They do a lot of like different string instruments, like medieval sounds.
That adds a lot too, because we've just heard a lot of guitar, drums, and bass, so it adds a lot.
Yeah. If anybody wants to check out some good Viking metal or folk metal, Turasas, these guys, they're right there at the top of my list. So yes, check them out.
There it is. And that is the featured band of the day.
Because I was checking this band out last night and I really liked them. Rivers of Nihil. They had a saxophone player, and it's like a death metal band. And I was like, whoa, this is different. Someone dropping in some saxophone licks while the dude's screaming and grunting. I just didn't think that was going to work, but you'd be surprised.
It worked. Wait, say that again. What was the band's name?
Rivers of Nihil. I don't know if I'm pronouncing the last part right, but very creative stuff. Like these guys, they had like a video, and it was like 60s psychedelic theme. I was like, death metal and 60s psychedelics, that's a strange combination. And then you got the saxophone, but somehow it's just all working out. And then the lead singer is like moving around, almost like, he's doing like moves. I don't want to say like Michael Jackson, but a little bit like that. And it just took me to a whole nother space, because like you think of like death metal, you think of like Cannibal Corpse or, whatever, something super heavy, Meshuggah. But this is that, but with a lot more layers to it.
Well, it looks cool. Like some of the art's like woodsy. They have a song called "Where Owls Know My Name."
That's the one with the saxophone.
Yeah, I'm gonna listen to it after this. That's good.
Yeah, definitely gonna check that out. Yeah,
get a double feature.
The art.
The art's cool. So let's
Speaking
see.
of art and creative endeavors,
Exactly.
it's contest time.
Oh, okay. Well, so yeah, I guess we just moved right along.
I'm just moving us
so
along.
yeah.
So,
So anyway, yeah, I mean, there's a lot of other bands. Some of them much more well known, like Behemoth, King Diamond, those guys. Mushroom Head. I think a lot of people know Mushroom Head, but anyway, so let us know what you guys think about this whole topic. Like, does the visual component of costumes and face paint, does that add to the music? Does it cover up bad music? You know, I mean, what are you guys' thoughts on all of that? And while you're doing that, we have a contest going on in October, the Eerie Series contest. We're looking for these evilities, and so
Philippines.
yeah, the evilities.
we will be rating everything on a scale of 1 to 6.66 on the evility scale.
That's right.
That's the scale right there. So
That's the scale.
That is right. And so we've been getting some submissions. We want more. You still got I don't know, 2 weeks.
yeah, we're
It's
gonna
the
announce
18th.
basically whatever show's closest to Halloween.
Well, Halloween's on a Saturday. We would be live streaming the next day.
Yeah, so we'll announce it November 1st.
which is
Winners.
All Saints Day. We go
Yeah.
from
Or-
All Hallows Eve to All
Or
Saints.
we could live stream on Halloween. I don't know.
We could do a special
I-
Halloween edition.
I might be on the road on the
Harder.
31st. So, but I will definitely be podcasting, live streaming on the 1st for sure.
definitely get us submissions by the end of the month.
Yes. Yes. So
To greatmetalpodcast at gmail.com and explain what they're submitting, Luke.
well, you're going to do any kind of evility, which is defined as a drawing or a piece of music or any kind of piece of art that is evil or
That you
creepy or
create.
scary.
Original works.
Original works only. Yeah.
Yeah.
Now, if you can rip somebody off and we don't know, well, that sucks for
Like,
you.
don't send us a picture of gore. We already have the picture.
we got a picture of gore. Yeah, it's true.
Whoever wins,
it-
we should review their work on the podcast. And then, of course, you get posted my Instagram stories.
Yep.
That's what you get. You get everything. And then I'll give you the key to unlock this lock, which, if you can unlock this lock, that means you got access to Shred. So,
Yeah.
That's right. That's right. Well, good. Spirited debate. I still love you guys, so that's good.
That is good.
Yeah. And so yeah.
You can disagree and still get along. This is
Yeah.
new shit. It's a new idea.
It's weird that we live in a world you have to say it, but we do. So, all right, everybody. Well, as you know, the world ends with you, so make it metal.